أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Surah 65.
At-Talaq.
Title.
At-Talaq.
Divorce is both the title and subject matter of this surah. Contained in it are divorce commands. Abdullah ibn Masood spoke of it as the miniature Surah
An-Nisa.
period of revelation. It is clear from both Abdullah ibn Masood's observation and the internal evidence of this surah that it must have been revealed soon after those verses of Al-Baqarah that laid down divorce commands for the first time. Although it is difficult to determine the exact period of its revelation, reports indicate that it was sent down after Surah Al-Baqarah for the purpose of guiding early Muslims who committed some mistakes in interpreting the commands embodied in that surah. Subject matter and themes. For a better understanding of the commands promulgated in this surah, let us first bring to mind other Quranic commands on divorce and the waiting period. Divorce can be pronounced twice, then either honorable retention or kindly release should follow. Al-Baqarah 2:229. Divorced women should keep themselves in waiting for 3 menstrual courses. Should their husbands desire reconciliation during this period, they are entitled to take them back into wedlock. Al-Baqarah 2:228. If he divorces her for the 3rd time after having pronounced divorce twice, she shall not be lawful to him unless she first takes another husband. Al-Baqarah 2:230. When you marry believing women and then divorce them before you have touched them, you may not require them to observe a waiting period that you may reckon against them.
Al-Ahzab
33:49. The wives of men who have died must observe a waiting period of 4 months and 10 days. Al-Baqarah 2:234. These verses lay down the following commands. 1. A husband may pronounce divorce the maximum number of 3 times. 2. After divorcing his wife once or twice, her husband may retain her within the waiting period. They may remarry if they so wish after the expiry of the waiting period. However, if he divorces her thrice, he forfeits the right to retain her within the waiting period. He cannot remarry her unless she has been married and divorced to someone else. 3. The women with whom marriage is consummated and who is of menstruating age shall have a waiting period of 3 menstrual cycles. If she is divorced only once or twice, her waiting period signifies that she is still in the wedlock and her husband may still retain her within her waiting period. However, if she is divorced thrice, he cannot retain her. The waiting period in this case signifies that she cannot marry anyone before its expiry. 4. For a woman who is divorced before she is touched, there is no waiting period. She may immediately marry after such a divorce. 5. A widow's waiting period is 4 months and 10 days. Let it be borne clearly in mind that Surah
At-Talaq
was not sent down to alter or abrogate any of the above commands. The following 2 objectives were behind its revelation. 1. It instructs men to exercise their right to divorce in a way that minimizes the likelihood of divorce. Divorce should be the last resort when all arbitration fails and the couple cannot live together. The Sharia provides for divorce only when it is inevitable. Otherwise, Allah detests the severing of marital ties. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, is on record saying, of all lawful acts, Allah detests divorce most. Abu Dawud. He has also been recorded to observe, amid all lawful acts, Allah dislikes divorce most. Abu Dawud. 2. The issues in need of explanation after the promulgation of the commands in Surah Al-Baqarah are elucidated in this surah with a view to concluding this aspect of family life. It specifies the duration of the waiting period for such divorced women with whom the marriage was consummated and who are past their menopause or who have not started menstruating. Likewise, the waiting period for pregnant women who are widowed or divorced is defined. The surah also instructs about the maintenance and accommodation of different types of divorced women and provides directives on the feeding of the child of divorced parents.
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim.
In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate.
يا أيها النبي إذا طلقتم النساء فطلقوهن لعدتهن وأحصوا العدة واتقوا الله ربكم لا تخرجوهن من بيوتهن ولا يخرجن إلا أن يأتين بفاحشة مبينة وتلك حدود الله ومن يتعد حدود الله فقد ظلم نفسه لا تدري لعل الله يحدث بعد ذلك أمرا.
O Prophet, when you divorce women, divorce them for their waiting period, and compute the waiting period accurately, and hold Allah your Lord in awe. Do not turn them out of their homes during the waiting period, nor should they go away from their homes unless they have committed a manifestly evil deed. Such are the bounds set by Allah, and he who transgresses the bounds set by Allah commits a wrong against himself. You do not know. Maybe Allah will cause something to happen to pave the way for reconciliation.
1. That is, O believers, you should not make undue haste in the matter of pronouncing divorce. Your minor family quarrels should not so incite you that you should pronounce the final divorce in a fit of anger, and there remains no chance for reconciliation. However, when you have to divorce your wives, you should divorce them for their prescribed waiting period. Pronouncing divorce for the waiting period has two meanings, and both are implied here. First, that you should divorce them at a time when their waiting period can begin. This thing has already been prescribed in Surah Al-Baqarah, Ayat 228. The waiting period of the married woman who menstruates is 3 monthly courses after the pronouncement of divorce. If this commandment is kept in view, the only appropriate time of pronouncing divorce that the waiting period may duly begin is when she is not in her courses, for the waiting period cannot begin from the course during which she may have been divorced, and divorcing her in that state would mean that, contrary to the divine command, her waiting period should extend to 4 courses instead of 3 courses. Furthermore, this commandment also demands that the woman should not be divorced in the period of purity during which the husband may have had sexual intercourse with her. For in this case, at the time divorce is pronounced, either the husband nor the wife can know whether she has conceived in consequence of the intercourse or not. Because of this, either the waiting period can begin on the hypothesis that this would be reckoned in view of the succeeding monthly courses, nor on the hypothesis that this would be the waiting period of a pregnant woman. So, this commandment lays down 2 rules simultaneously. First, that divorce should not be pronounced during menstruation. Second, that divorce may be pronounced either in the period of purity during which there was no sexual intercourse with the woman, or in the state when the woman's being pregnant was known. A little consideration of the matter will show that the restrictions imposed on the pronouncement of divorce are for good reasons. The reason for imposing the restriction on the pronouncement of divorce during menstruation is that in this state the husband and the wife are somewhat estranged from each other because of the prohibition of sexual intercourse in this state, and also from the medical viewpoint it is confirmed that the woman is not temperamentally normal during the courses. Therefore, if a quarrel starts between them in this state, both the husband and the wife would be helpless to an extent to put an end to it, and if the matter is deferred till the woman is free from her courses, there is the possibility that the woman also may return to her normal temperamental state, and the mutual attraction that nature has placed between them also may work and reunite them. Likewise, the reason for prohibiting the pronouncement of divorce during the purity period in which sexual intercourse may have taken place is that if in consequence of it conception takes place, it can neither be known to the husband nor to the wife. Therefore, it cannot be a suitable time for pronouncing the divorce. If the man comes to know that conception has taken place, he would think 100 times before deciding finally whether he should pronounce divorce or not on the woman who carries his child in her womb. The woman also, in view of the future of her child, would try her best to remove the causes of her husband's displeasure. But if a decision is taken blindly, in undue haste, and then it is known that conception had taken place, both will regret it later. This is the first meaning of divorcing for the prescribed waiting period, which applies only to those women marriage with whom has been consummated, who menstruate and may possibly conceive. As for its second meaning, it is this: if you have to divorce your wives, you should divorce them till the expiry of their waiting period. That is, do not pronounce 3 divorces all at once leading to permanent separation, but pronounce 1, or at the most 2 divorces, and wait till the end of the waiting period, so that there remains some chance for reconciliation for you at any time during this period. According to this meaning, this commandment is also useful in respect of those women marriage with whom has been consummated and who menstruate, as well as of those who no longer menstruate, or those who have not yet menstruated, or those whose pregnancy at the time of the pronouncement of divorce is known. If this divine command is rightly followed, no one will regret after having pronounced divorce, for if divorce is pronounced in this way, there remains room for reconciliation within the waiting period, and even after the expiry of the waiting period the possibility remains that the separated husband and wife may remarry if they wish reconciliation. This same meaning of talaq huna liadati hina, divorce them for their prescribed waiting period, has been given by the earliest commentators. Ibn Abbas has given this commentary of it: one should not pronounce divorce during menstruation nor in the period of purity, tar, during which the husband may have had sexual intercourse. But one should leave the wife alone till she attains purity after the course, then one may pronounce a single divorce on her. In this case, even if there is no reconciliation and the waiting period expires, she would be separated by the single divorce. Ibn Jarir. Abdullah bin Masud says, divorce for the waiting period means that one should pronounce the divorce in the woman's state of purity without having had an intercourse with her. The same commentary has been reported from Abdullah bin Umar, Atta, Mujahid, Maimun bin Maran, Muqbil bin Hayyan, and Dahak, Ibn Kathir. Ikrimah has explained it thus: one may pronounce the divorce in the state when the woman's being pregnant is known, and not when one has had sexual intercourse with her, and it is not known whether she has conceived or not. Ibn Kathir. Both Hassan Basri and Ibn Sirin say, divorce should be pronounced during the state of purity without having had sexual intercourse, or when the woman's being pregnant becomes known. Ibn Jarir. The intention of this verse was best explained by the Prophet, peace be upon him, himself on the occasion when Abdullah bin Umar had divorced his wife while she was discharging the menses. The details of this incident have been reported in almost all collections of hadith, and the same, in fact, are the source of the law in this connection. It so happened that when Abdullah divorced his wife while she was menstruating, Umar came before the Prophet, peace be upon him, and mentioned it to him. The Prophet, peace be upon him, expressed great displeasure and said, command him to take her back and keep her as his wife till she is purified, that she again menstruates, and is again purified. Then if he so desires he may divorce her in her state of purity without having any sexual intercourse with her. This is the waiting period which Allah Almighty has prescribed for the divorce of women. In a tradition the words are to the effect, either one may pronounce the divorce in the woman's state of purity without having a sexual intercourse, or in the state when her being pregnant becomes fully known. The intention of this verse is further explained by a few other ahadith which have been reported from the Prophet, peace be upon him, and some of the major companions. Nasai has related that the Prophet, peace be upon him, was informed that a person had pronounced 3 divorces on his wife in one sitting. He stood up in anger and said, are the people playing with the book of Allah, although I am present among you? Seeing the Prophet's extreme anger on this occasion, a person asked, should I not go and kill the man? Abdur Razak has reported about Ubadah bin As-Samit that his father pronounced 1,000 divorces on his wife. He went before the Prophet, peace be upon him, and asked his ruling on it. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said by the 3 divorces the woman stood separated from him along with Allah's disobedience, and 997 pronouncement remained as acts of injustice and sin, for which Allah might punish him if he so willed and forgive him if he so willed. In the details of the incident concerning Hadrat Abdullah bin Umar, which have been related in Daraqutni and Ibn Abi Shayba, another thing also is that when the Prophet, peace be upon him, commanded Abdullah bin Umar to take his wife back, he asked, had I pronounced 3 divorces on her, could I have taken her back even then? The Prophet, peace be upon him, replied, "No, she would have stood separated from you, and this would have been an act of sin." In another tradition the Prophet's, peace be upon him, words are to the effect, "Had you done this, you would have committed disobedience of your Lord while your wife would have been separated from you." The legal rulings reported from the companions in this regard are also in complete conformity with the Prophet's, peace be upon him, injunctions. According to a tradition in Maudud, a person came to Abdullah bin Masud and said, "I have pronounced 8 divorces on my wife." Ibn Masud asked, "What legal opinion have you been given in this regard?" He said, "I have been told that the woman stands separated from me." Ibn Masud said, "The people have said the right thing. The legal position is the same as they have told you." Abdur Razak has related from Alqamah that a person said to Ibn Masud, "I have pronounced 99 divorces on my wife." He said, 3 divorces separate her from you, the rest are acts of sin, excesses. Waqi bin al-Jarrah in his Sunnah has reported this very viewpoint of both Uthman and Ali. A person came to Uthman and said, "I have pronounced 1,000 divorces on my wife." He replied, "She stood separated from you by 3 divorces." When a similar problem was presented before Ali, he replied, "By 3 divorces she stood separated from you. You may distribute the rest of your pronouncements on the rest of your wives if you so like." Abu Dud and Ibn Jarir have related, with a little variation in wording, a tradition from Mujahid, saying, "While I was sitting with Ibn Abbas, a person came and said, 'I have pronounced 3 divorces on my wife.' Ibn Abbas heard it but kept silent for so long that I thought he was perhaps going to return his wife to him. Then he said, 'One of you first commits the folly of pronouncing the divorces. Then he comes and says, O Ibn Abbas, O Ibn Abbas. Whereas Allah has said that whoever fears him and whatever he does, he will open a way for him out of the difficulties. You did not fear Allah. Now I do not find any way for you. You have disobeyed your Lord, and your wife stands separated from you." Another tradition, which also has been reported from Mujahid and related with a little variation in wording in Muwatta and Tafsir by Ibn Jarir, says, a person pronounced 100 divorces on his wife. Then he asked Ibn Abbas for his opinion. He replied, "By 3 divorces she stood separated from you. With the other 97 you made a jest of the revelations of Allah." This is according to Muwatta. According to Ibn Jarir, the words of Ibn Abbas were to the effect, "You disobeyed your Lord, and your wife stood separated from you, and you did not fear Allah that He might open a way for you out of the difficulty." Imam Tahawi has related that a man came to Ibn Abbas and said, "My uncle has pronounced 3 divorces on his wife." He replied, "Your uncle has disobeyed Allah and committed a sin and followed Satan. Now Allah has left no way open for him out of the difficulty." According to a tradition in Muwatta and Abu Dud, a man pronounced 3 divorces on his wife before the consummation of marriage, then desired to remarry her, and came out to know the legal aspect of the matter. The reporter of the hadith, Muhammad bin Layas bin Bukair, says, "I accompanied him to Ibn Abbas and Abu Hurairah. The reply each one gave was, 'You have let slip from your hand whatever opportunity was there for you.'" Zamakhshari has stated in Al-Kashaf that Umar used to beat the man who would pronounce 3 divorces on his wife, at one and the same time, and then would enforce his divorces. Sayyid bin Mansur has related this very thing from Anas on sound authority. In this connection, the general opinion of the companions which Ibn Abi Shayba and Imam Muhammad have related from Ibrahim Nakhai was, the companions approved of this method that one may pronounce a single divorce on the wife and leave her alone till she completes 3 monthly courses. These are the words of Ibn Abi Shayba. The words of Imam Muhammad are to the effect, the approved method with them was that in the matter of divorce one should not exceed 1 divorce till the waiting period is completed. The detailed law that the jurists of Islam have compiled with the help of these ahadith and traditions in the light of the above-mentioned Quranic verse is as follows. 1. The Hanafis regard divorce as of 3 kinds, Ehsan, Hasan, and Bidi. The Ehsan form of divorce is that one may pronounce only 1 divorce on his wife during Attar, purity, period in which one must refrain from sexual intercourse and leave the wife to complete her waiting period. The Hasan form of divorce is that one may pronounce 1 divorce in each period of purity, in this case pronouncement of 3 divorces, 1 each in 3 periods of purity, is also not against the Sharia, although the best approved method is to pronounce only one divorce and leave the wife to complete her waiting period. The bid'i form of divorce is that one must pronounce 3 divorces in a single sitting, or pronounce 3 divorces at different times during the same period of purity, or pronounce divorce during menstruation, or pronounce it in the period of purity during which he has had a sexual intercourse. Of these, whichever course one may adopt, one will be guilty of sin. This is the law in respect of the woman marriage with whom has been consummated, and who has regular courses. As for the woman marriage with whom has not been consummated, she can be divorced both in the state of purity and during menstruation, and this is according to the Sunnah. And if the woman is such a one marriage with whom has been consummated who no longer menstruates, or the one who has not yet menstruated, she can be divorced even after the sexual intercourse, for there is no chance of her being pregnant. And if the woman is pregnant, she also can be divorced after the sexual intercourse, for her pregnancy is already established. But the method of pronouncing divorce on these women according to the Sunnah is that the divorce may be pronounced at the interval of 1 month in each case. However, the Ahsan method is that only one divorce may be pronounced and the woman left to complete her waiting period. Hidayah, Fath al-Qadir, Akam al-Quran al-Jassas, Amdat al-Kari,